In this video, we're going to take a look at 7 of the best mobile businesses that you can start where you can make a ton of money as we get ready to head into the new year. Some of these businesses are focused on capitalizing on emerging trends, while others are just basically repackaging existing businesses and putting it into a mobile service. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Also, if you're new to the channel, my name is Adam Zwingler. This channel is usually focused on starting, building, and scaling businesses, especially in blue-collar and service-based businesses. If you're interested in learning how to do that or identifying really good business opportunities, consider liking and subscribing. First on the list is mobile wheelchair and scooter repair. And guys, everybody wants to talk about bike repair. If you look at a lot of these videos on YouTube, people talk about bike repair quite a bit. They never mention wheelchair and scooter repair, but the reality is you can charge upwards of $150 an hour to repair wheelchairs and mobile scooters for elderly people. And the elderly population is really starting to grow as baby boomers move into their elderly years. And this is a really good potential mobile business where you can make a lot of money. The reality is wheelchairs break down and there's a lot of insurance bureaucracy around trying to get them repaired. Sometimes it can be upwards of several months before you can get insurance to cover and actually repair a wheelchair. So getting somebody out there to fix these wheelchairs is really important so that people's lives don't come to literally a direct halt, which is what a lot of elderly people say happens when their wheelchair is not working. According to the 2020 census, there's actually 73 million baby boomers. This makes up upwards of 21% of our entire population, guys, that are all moving towards being very elderly, and they're gonna need wheelchairs, and they're gonna need wheelchair and scooter repair. As you can see on Carter's Medical, the cost to repair wheelchairs and scooters can be expensive. It can be upwards of $175 to replace the motor, $125 for tires, even a tune-up can be upwards of $60. Let's go ahead and take a look at a revenue breakdown to see how much you can make in a mobile business like this. Okay, so the hourly repair rate would be roughly $150. Let's say that you were able to work 6 hours a day. That works out to about $900 a day, $5,400 a week if you're working 6 days a week, almost $23,000 for the month, and $274,000 for the year is what your labor rate would end up being if you worked 6 days a week. The question is, how long would it take you to be busy enough to be working 6 hours a day? My guess is not very long with the amount of people that are getting ready to be very elderly. Okay, number 2, which is mobile dentistry. And guys, listen up closely. This is actually my favorite of the 7 businesses that we cover in this video. Mobile dentistry is an emerging trend, and taking care of elderly is an emerging trend. You can make a lot of money in this, and you don't need to be a dentist in order to start a mobile dentistry business in most states. You can create the business, create the mobile setup, hire a dentist on Indeed, and send them out to elderly care facilities and to service 55 and up communities, and they will happily pay to have this kind of work done and have it brought to them as a service. A new patient exam, x-rays, and teeth cleaning can cost the customer upwards of $600 here in Colorado. The dentist typically makes 30% of whatever that charge is. Let's take a look at a revenue breakdown and look at the allocation of money between the dentist and the owner of the vehicle. So you charge the customer $600. Of the $600, 30% goes to the dentist. The other 70% goes to the person that owns the mobile business, okay? The dentist makes $180 and the owner makes $420 per visit. Okay, so let's start to break down the numbers. The customer pays $600. The dentist makes $180 of that. The owner of the mobile unit makes $420 of that. And let's assume that you can have 4 customers per day. So the dentist is going to make $720 a day because they're servicing 4 customers, right? That works out to be $3,600 per week, over $15,000 per month, and $182,000 in change in a year. The business owner, the person who owns the mobile van or RV, whatever it's going to be, is going to make $1,680 a day, $8,400 a week, over $35,000 per month, and $426,000 per year. Can you see why this is potentially a really good business idea? A really good service business that is going to be needed, and elderly people are going to be more than happy to pay to have this service brought to them, especially if insurance is willing to pay for it. Now, if you've been following along with my different videos discussing all these different business ideas and you've selected one and you want to get started, consider coming over to buildupuniversity.com. Over there, that's our website, and we just offer two simple services. One is a very affordable website that we can build you. It takes about 2 weeks. You fill out a form, we design it, we build it. We've got a couple different layouts over there that look amazing. The other service that we offer over on buildupuniversity.com is a 1-hour consulting fee to help you figure out how to grow and scale your business or get it started and get it off the ground. If you just have general ideas or general thoughts that you want to run by us, then we can do that there. Okay, let's jump into business idea number 3, which is mobile childproofing. Each year, 3.5 million children end up in the emergency room due to injuries they sustained at their house. And because of that, mobile childproofing has emerged as a lucrative service for concerned parents. And lucrative it definitely is. The average cost to childproof your house nowadays is upwards of $3,000 to $5,000 to pay a company to come in and childproof your house. Believe it or not, that is the cost. So let's assume that the average cost per job is $3,000, and let's assume that you can do 3 of those in a week. That ends up being $9,000 in revenue a week, $38,000 in a month, and over $468,000 in a year. A couple additional thoughts just to mention here at the end. Typically, a job shouldn't take more than 1 to 2 days. This is quite easy work, but you better really know what you're doing, because if you screw this up, you are going to get a lawsuit like none other. All right, moving on to business idea number 4, which is luxury pet transportation. Hear me out on this one. Rich people have problems. They just don't have the same problems you and I have. And one of the latest problems that have been emerging among the wealthy is how to transport Tippy, the Chihuahua, from one luxury house to the other as wealthy people travel throughout the world, going from house to house. Wealthy pet transportation has turned into a real thing, guys. Take, for example, Bark Air, which is a 100% real airline designed to transport luxury dogs of luxury owners to whatever location they're going to be at next. A one-way flight from New York City to California will cost upwards of $6,000, and if the pet needs to go overseas, it can be upwards of $8,000. Transporting Tippy gets expensive, but people are lining up to pay for this. And that makes me think that there's possibly a mobile business in this, transporting luxury pets or just regular pets that are of luxury owners from one house to another and on a more local level, or at least providing pet care on a daily basis that's a more luxury-oriented pet care. So let's go ahead and break down the revenue numbers on a rough idea of what this could hypothetically look like. Let's say that you're taking care of luxury pets and you're doing this for $1,000 a day. So you make $1,000 a day per pet. That's $7,000 a week, which works out to be $29,000 a month and $365,000 a year. Quite good money if you can set up some sort of a mobile business that takes care of pets of luxury wealthy owners. Let's move on to business idea number 5, which is a mobile locksmith. The reality is mobile locksmiths can make a shitload of money, guys. And this will come as no surprise if you've listened to some of my other videos. I've covered this in other videos. Locksmiths make a ridiculous amount of money. Last year, we were staying in a townhouse, and the lockbox on the townhouse that we were trying to get into, the battery died on it. We had to call a locksmith out, and he drove out. He was very quick to respond. He made it out there very quickly, like within 30 minutes. He had the door unlocked in 15 minutes, and he charged us $360. $360. And he had the door unlocked in less than 15 minutes and replaced the battery inside and moved on. So let's go ahead and break down the revenue numbers so you can see how much a mobile locksmith can make. Okay, so price per job is $360, 3 jobs in a day, which works out to be over $1,000 a day, $1,080, which works out to be over $7,500 per week, which works out to be upwards of $32,000 a month, which works out to be $383,000 a year. Keep in mind with all of these business ideas, there's expenses. This is just top line revenue, guys. This doesn't have anything to do with cost of materials, insurance. There's a whole lot of things that go into running a business, but it's good to see what your top line numbers could potentially be as a mobile locksmith. On to business idea number 6, which is a mobile breathalyzer interlock install business, which is basically long-winded for the device they put in your car that you have to blow into after you've gotten a DUI. Okay, so true story here. Back in the day, I had left a brewery with my now wife. I was just dating her at the time. We left, we had had a couple beers, we went down the small back road, and I was going too fast. I got pulled over by a cop, and he pulled me over, and when he pulled me over, he said, "Before you answer whether you've been drinking or not, just know I just saw you leave the brewery right down at the end of this small street." The result of that was I ended up in one of the worst situations I had ever ended up in. I had to go to jail for a night. I spent jail with legit drunk people and homeless people, and I had to do a year of alcohol classes, and they put one of these interlocks in my car. It was a terrible experience. It was a costly experience. It was the kind of experience you'd never want to go through ever again. And the result of that was I learned about these interlocks and the ability to set this up as a mobile business where you actually go out and you install these into vehicles for people that have to blow into them as they drive around with their vehicle after they've gotten a DUI. And so a quick breakdown on revenue so you can see a rough idea of how much you can actually make doing this. The average install costs about $150. Let's say you do 6 of those in a day. That works out to be $900 that you can make. Not quite that $1,000 threshold that we're really going for in this video, but pretty close. $5,400 a week if you work 6 days a week. That works out to be almost $23,000 a month and $274,000 in a year. This could be a potentially good business. It's not a very tricky device to install. It just takes a little bit of time and know-how. So it's worth checking into in your state to see if this is something that you can legally do that doesn't need any sort of government intervention. Just want to put it on your radar as a possibly good mobile business. And last on the list, guys, is a mobile knife sharpening business. And there's a reason why I put this last on the list. It doesn't make quite as much money as the other businesses that have been discussed in this video, but I want to put it solidly on your radar because there's a huge demand for knife sharpening and there's really not that many people doing it. How many people do you think just in your own neighborhood would want to have their knives sharpened if somebody just showed up on their front door and said that they could do this kind of service? There's potential for a reoccurring business if you get restaurants and other businesses that actually need their knives sharpened on a regular basis. So let's go ahead and at least break down some of the positives and some of the negatives of this job. We'll give a quick revenue breakdown and then we'll wrap this video up. Okay, so some of the positives. No license or formal training needed to sharpen. Anyone and everyone has knives that need sharpened, potential reoccurring customers, lots of additional revenue streams like axes, hatches, scissors, chainsaws, yard tools, etc. Potential for professional clients like restaurants, caterers, knife companies, and farmers markets, and also potential for residential clients. Tons of households could potentially need this service. On the downside, you need to sharpen a lot of knives to make any good money. It can be very wearing on your body. It can wear out your hands, elbows, shoulders, and back, and you're dealing with sharp objects all day long. Okay, so looking at a quick revenue breakdown, $8 is what it typically costs for a small knife, $15 for a large knife. If you kind of average the two, you can say on average, you're gonna make about $10 per knife that you charge. Let's assume that you can charge for 25 knives a day that you sharpen. That would be $250 a day, $1,250 a week, and $5,000 a month. Now, not the best numbers, definitely not up there with some of these other businesses, but super high demand. You would have no problem starting a business like this and having customers straight away. That wraps up our 7 highly profitable mobile businesses. Most of them you can make about $1,000 a day or more doing these different businesses. If you're interested in learning more about the different businesses we cover or figuring out how to start and scale a business like this, consider liking and subscribing and checking out Build Up University if you need a website or you want some consulting. All right, guys, on to the next.